Hey friends, welcome to the Fireside. Today is a very special day. First, it's special because it is my 22nd wedding anniversary. So I want to wish my wife Emily a happy anniversary. And second, it is a special day because it's the first announcement of a great opportunity for you or maybe someone that you feel deserves the chance to go to the Paradise Tattoo Gathering for free. So on today's episode, we have Amy Nicholls of the Apprenticeship Diaries and Derek Youngberg, who owns Coalition Tattoo Supply. And our topic of discussion is the Paradise Tattoo Gathering, which is happening this October 2024 in Jiminy Peak, Massachusetts. Beautiful, beautiful mountain resort. If you've never been to Paradise, it is truly the most unique experience in tattooing. It is not a tattoo convention per se. While there is tattooing there, it's a tattoo education event. It's a really fantastic high-level tattoo education event with tons of free workshops and seminars that are included in the ticket price. There are also a la carte options for advanced seminars and workshops and things like that. And because of the a la carte options and the travel to get there, it can get a little bit pricey. It's difficult for beginning tattooers a lot of times to afford the trip there without help from their mentors or their shop. And so we came up last year with the idea of forming a scholarship option so we can try to bring as many young artists into Paradise as we possibly can. And Derek Youngberg has been a great catalyst for that because he is offered to match every donation up to $10,000 towards the scholarship fund. So we talk a little bit in this episode about Paradise and what makes it special from all three of our standpoints. We talk a little bit about the scholarship, kind of the way that we laid it out, what our mindset was whenever we did it, and the requirements to get the scholarship. And then below the episode here, we'll have all of the links for you to either apply for the scholarship for yourself, apply for or nominate someone that you think is worthy of the scholarship or who would be a good candidate, and or make a donation to the scholarship, which is what I'm doing. And every dollar that you donate is matched by Coalition Tattoo Supply and Derek. I hope you enjoy the episode. I want to thank Amy and Derek for taking the time. And as always, I want to thank you for spending some of your time and attention with us. Let's get started.
Like in general, that's
what this is all
about. Well, I know I'm here because I've been going to the Paradise Tattoo Gathering since 2011, and at that time, I was well, first I'll introduce myself, Amy Nicholls, from the Apprenticeship Diaries, and I guess the reason why I am here is because I've been going to the Paradise Tattoo Gathering events since 2011. And when I was going first, I was an apprentice. So these have been foundational for me since I began in the field of tattooing. And they've been evocative and provoking enough in my education continually to keep going. So that's why I'm here.
Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't go that far back. I knew of it. From, I guess, probably the very first one. I can remember someone from my shop going with another friend to what I believe was the very first one. And it's super cool. It just sounded like something that was out of reach, which is kind of what we're going to get to in this talk, because it probably was out of reach for me, at that point in time. But just the idea as a young tattooer of like getting on a plane, they were pitching it being in the middle of nowhere. So it wasn't like flying to, LaGuardia or something. And I was like, oh, that's going to be expensive and it's going to be difficult, but it sounds really cool. But in the longer run, it became kind of a catalyst for what turned into the Fireside podcast and the originally Fireside Tats and then the Fireside Tattoo Network, because it was the first kind of introduction on that level to like art focused tattooing that I had come across. Like I knew some artists that tattooed, like I knew of Guy, and I knew of like, some of the realism guys from back in the day of Bob Renshaw or Bugs or like people in the magazines, but I didn't know any art first tattooers necessarily. And so as time went on, I was like, and I was taking more and more painting workshops and trying to learn to implement the stuff I was learning in fine art to tattooing. And that eventually kind of started Fireside, but Paradise was the thing that proved to me that like that could be a thing. It was like, even though it wasn't a podcast, it was an event. There was an art focused event for tattooers. So, yeah. What about you, Derek? Where did you just came to your first one was last year. Did you know about the event beforehand or?
Oh yeah, for many years. always
Okay.
wanted to go since the very beginning, of course, and just didn't find myself, didn't have the time or the money like that, So I'm Derek. I'm a founder of Coalition Tattoo Supply. Before owning a supply company, I was a tattoo shop owner in Bend, Oregon, and that's what I really wanted to be a part of Paradise Tattoo Gathering. It was many years ago. So last year, just out of just pure interest, and let's go check it out and see what this is all about. I walked away from that experience just forever changed. It was a career-changing experience for me. It was really nice to see for the first time of all the years, 30 years of going to tattoo conventions. This was hands down the best sense of community that I've ever felt when it comes to like artists coming together for the betterment of each other and their own careers. And I was just absolutely inspired and just really taken back. So coming back to the Northwest where I live, I've told many people about it and trying to get as many people on board coming to Paradise in the future, and some are. And I also was relating a lot of these stories. Other people have been to the Paradise Gathering, especially when it's at Summit in Colorado. And every single person I talked to is said, well, Paradise Tattoo Gathering has completely changed their career or kickstarted it to some degree. And I just thought that was phenomenal. Does such a wonderful job. Jake, awesome. Amy, wonderful meeting you. I've just been really happy to finally kind of land and just feel this community. So yeah, I'm all about it, and all about promoting it, and all about future endeavors with all, especially with your call-up scholarship program that Paradise Tattoo Gathering is doing this year. I really feel like this is a good time and a good venue for inspiring new artists that are up and coming, so they can, run on their own 2 feet and get a good head start, to make a great career happen. So that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And that's kind of a good transition into, and one of the things that we wanted to hit on. I kind of wanted to talk a little bit just about like tattoo education as a whole and how much it's evolved, I guess. But it's funny how the scholarship, the idea for the scholarship came up at the end of last year. You guys were both in the room, right, on the closing day. Mm-hmm. And we were just getting feedback from some of the artists. And one of the artists stood up and was an apprentice and said, one thing that would be cool is if there was a way to get younger artists more, involved or give them access in some way, because that artist was only able to come because their mentor footed the bill. And somebody in the crowd, I don't know who, just yelled out like scholarship. And so we started bouncing that idea around just on the main stage, really, just like crowd to like, I had the mic and we're just like bouncing ideas back through the crowd. And then, and kind of not roughed out an idea, just everyone kind of agreed that would be cool if we could find a way to make that work. And then we talked a little about how to work out the logistics. But what was interesting is at the end of that, Derek, you came up to me after we had kind of broken down. You're like, hey, I'm willing to go in and match up to $10,000 if you got of donations to get this scholarship up and going if you guys are serious about it, which was really what set it off. It's like, okay, it went from an idea to a thing we have to do now, So what is that? How am I missing anything? That's basically it was kind of on a whim. The whole idea came up. Yeah.
I have to say that.
Oh, sorry.
Is it?
What was that?
Amy, it's your
Go ahead, Amy. You're right.
I was just gonna say that it was the benefit of my studio that had already known about the event and had known about the players, because when I first started going, Guy was on site and he would show up, and so that was the draw, was like a really core group of tattoo artists that really drew people in. It's always attracted an incredible tattoo artist, but in the beginning, because Guy was such an icon in the industry, it drew in my studio. And because my studio was already knowledgeable about it, I was able to go, but the only reason why I was able to go was because my studio had already profited a whole condo, and it was bigger than what everybody needed, and I was able to kind of like, kind of insert myself in there and say, hey, I want to go. And it was the first time for me that in tattooing, actually, and this might spin into the tattoo education kind of discussion as well, that I had felt what I felt when I was in art school again, because I really didn't experience that at all in my studio. And really, I know that my studio was really trying to manifest those values, but I was probably the most foundationally set in those values coming into the Paradise Gathering. And so for me, it was like a breath of fresh air, because everybody that was there was foundationally art kids first, and they were trying to implement those things into tattooing and make that a core principle that we all shared. And but the scholarship is great because, as we heard from last year, for anybody who really needs this coming into it, it is really difficult. But what I will say is that the people that go are so wonderful that if you know another person that has interest, it's very easy for you to, even if you don't get the scholarship, to sync up with other interest bodies and formulate a group to go with and experience with. I've known many noobs that have come to it and shared, hotel accommodations with each other, and synced up from across the globe, and they haven't even met each other in person, but because it's such an integral event that attracts, I think, just a passion for art and that kind of education, it really, I think that you could very easily find somebody that you can shack out with and make it a little bit more affordable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a good point. A lot of people have to do that, and for folks who've never been to Jiminy Peak, where this is held, and we'll link to all the details, and wherever you're watching this podcast, we'll link to all the details so you can learn more about Paradise. But the cool thing about it is it's not like a traditional hotel; it's a ski resort, so they're full on like condos. We stayed in a 4-bed, 3-bath last year, I think, which might be the biggest one, but it was but they have several 3-bed, 2-baths, and 2 bed, so it's easy to like pile up with your whole studio, hit the grocery store. So you can't, that's the kind of interest. Yeah, have full kitchens. So that's the kind of interesting thing about it is you can kind of, outside of the scholarship even, you can kind of make it as affordable or as expensive as you want it to be, from a standpoint of getting in the door, outside of like travel getting there, just getting in the door, it's like $400 for a 4-day pass. It's really it's cheaper than getting a booth at any convention, really, and it's not much more than just buying a day pass to a lot of conventions, especially on like a Saturday. There are plenty of conventions I go to where like it's $60 to get in on Saturday, and you're like, man, just to walk around, all right. But so you really you can make it more affordable, but if you want to do all of the stuff, if you want to get all of the go to all the seminars and do all the things, it can get pretty pricey. And so that kind of takes us back to the point of this scholarship, because we want to get younger up and coming artists involved as early as we can to have a positive impact on their careers. And I assume, I'll throw it back to you, Derek, that I assume that was kind of what made you throw that offer out so quickly and without much thought. It just seemed pretty obvious to you.
Yeah, I mean, I already had 4 days of everybody pulling on my heartstrings and falling in love with an event. So in hearing this Apprentice, talk and, throw this feedback out, it was a no-brainer. It was a number that I landed on, because I have an opportunity to do something like this. And, we're committed to the industry that's been serving us for so long, as suppliers. And, it's some of our favorite, clients, the ones that are really invested into, furthering their careers, and the ones that are just starting out, they come to us at the time in our showrooms just looking for assistance and help, and, wondering how they should navigate, this career. So we do more than just sell supplies. We help support. And so this was an opportunity that I couldn't pass up on in my mind. And I was like, well, I'm just going to land it right now with you, Jake. Let's make this happen. Let's do it. So,
Right.
you know, you guys are so
And I
much
remember,
about I'm sorry, Amy, go ahead.
I wanted to spin off of that just for a second, because I remember being approached by you. There was a question that you asked me when I was on the panel, because in your neck of the woods, they actually have tattoo schools. And that was a consideration of yours in the realm in which you exist. And so that affects very much so the artists that come out of your state and things like that. And so I think that was something that further informed your experience in this, and really wanted you to give to something that you saw a lot of integrity to.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see education and where tattooing is going right now and how it's raising the standards, you know, across the board. There's so many great individuals, you know, podcasts and, you know, reinventing the tattoo, Jake, what you're doing with Fireside. So many platforms out there now that are just about helping and contributing. And I think that's where all the growth is really occurring right now in that. So it's like, you know, the lone artist out there, or the individual who comes out of a school, like say, for instance, in Oregon, where they come out of a school and it's not always easy just to go land a job right now. So, you know, a lot of them are kind of lost in their way. They have a certificate, but what do I do with it? How do I get into the industry? And so, you know, they're looking for people to, you know, they're looking for the mentorship, you know, they're looking for apprenticeships, you know, they're looking for different avenues to go out there and kind of keep these skills growing and, you know, and defining, you know, as to where they're going to go. So it is wonderful to see so many individuals right now just in the background of tattooing right now that are just like really just pumping it, you know, making it something that we never got to see back in, I started tattooing in the 90s. We didn't have this degree of education and understanding in tattooing. And I think the quality of tattoos then versus now shows that difference. And so it's just, it's just wonderful to be a part of. And thank you, Amy. It was wonderful meeting you on this and seeing that, because I know that you're geared towards that apprenticeship, you know, mindset. And this is exactly what so many of the students outside of these schools, and don't get me wrong, there are really good schools now and there's schools not so good. And it's just like we're experiencing, you know, both right now, hoping that the standards will raise for everybody at some point. But, you know, Amy, you know, you're, you know, a great voice for this as well. I've been able to listen to a few podcasts and I've just been absolutely, you know, thrilled with what you have going on. So yeah, keep that up, please.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I intend to.
One thing I do want to also discuss with all this is the networking opportunities here for these newer tattooers. It's just phenomenal. Like, I know that mentorships are coming out of this Paradise Tattoo Gathering. I know that people are connecting and doing guest spots and landing in homes that they, you know, they never even thought possible before, you know, in tattooing. And it's just like, this is what it's about too. So that's, I think, a great part of that, this scholarship opportunity is for somebody who can't afford to get there. It's not just about the education, it's about that networking platform that they're going to have and seek in a 5 minute get there. So, yeah. So, Dan, you there?
100%, because I know a lot of artists that they're limited to who they're around locally and who could actually mentor them. And if they have the opportunity to go to an event like this where they get to meet artists who, you know, might be seeking a hungry apprentice or somebody that has a significant amount to show for themselves, but the area to which they live is very dry as far as their opportunities. You know, if you can be quick routed, I mean, yeah, you might have to move to another state or something like that, but it really depends upon your passion for this industry. And there's been lots of tattoo artists that have moved cross country in order to pursue this industry. So it's a great opportunity.
Thinker. Something that I try to stress to people who've never been to Paradise before is, especially if you're a beginning tattooer or any level of tattooer who looks up to other tattooers, which we all do, you know, and if you go to conventions, whether you're working at a booth or whether you're just going to walk through and see your favorite artists work at Hell City, they're at a booth working. And then, especially the bigger artists, like if you want to talk to Nico Hurtado, good luck, because he's going to be tattooing like a madman all day. And then once he's finished tattooing, he's not in the convention center anymore. He's gone. And it's almost like they ushered him out the back door or something like that. You're like, man, I just wanted to get a picture with him or ask him this or whatever. And the difference in that and Paradise is we're all stuck on the side of a mountain together for 4 straight days. There's one bar, there's one little country store, that we all go get peanut butter and jelly and bread and milk. And you walk to all of it. So all of your favorite tattooers are at the same breakfast place as you you're passing them all day long. And even if you're one of these people, like, which most of us are, who have a hard time working up the nerve to like talk to our favorite artists, you've got 4 days to work up the nerve. They're not going anywhere, and that's a really big deal when it comes to the networking, standpoint. Is just getting a little bit of like, a one-on-one time or small group time with some of your favorite artists, and to your point, meeting and having the opportunity for maybe an apprenticeship someplace, or just a booth made at a tattoo convention. Maybe you're at a shop where you're the only one at the shop that wants to travel and do shows, and and you can't get booth mates.
That's a great point, Jake, because with this, Derek, that you guys are sponsoring with the scholarship. I mean, Derek, you came by yourself, and I will say that for my first time going to Paradise, even though I went with a crew, I encellulated. They were kind of upset with me because I just put on my headphones and I just painted the whole time. And I was very determined to just make art. And I got really into the event. I had no idea who was there. People were coming up to me because I was just enjoying the art and everything. But you, Derek, you went by yourself and you were able to fully immerse yourself into everything. And I think that's what's beautiful about the scholarship opportunity too, is that you're going solo and there's not going to be a group of people to kind of regulate what you do, how you do it. There's not going to be this side noise that kind of makes you feel inferior. You can just go and if they're a rock star tattoo artist, my boyfriend comes with me every single year, and he comes back and he's in his pizzeria talking to clients who, some of them are tattoo artists, and he's like, yeah, I was talking to Gunner the last time, and they were like, what? And they're like, how do you know these rock star tattoo artists, man? Like, I've never met these people. And he's like, oh yeah, like we're hanging out in Jiminy Peak, Massachusetts. I go there all the time. Like, they're cool dudes. And he's just talking hunting and everything. So they're people, like they're not just tattooing. You can come and you can have an exchange with somebody else that has nothing to do with tattooing. We met a couple people from Montana, and we were sharing pictures about what elk or deer that we had hunted. There's so many ways to meet the person behind the art, and that's what's a beautiful thing about this scholarship too, is that you be coming as you are with all this passion towards tattooing, but what you'd find is some really good friendship and connections that go far beyond that, and that's what Paradise really helps cultivate. So that's a good point, Jake.
Yeah, I love the inclusion that you have going on in this event. I mean, it's just like, usually every event that you go to, or majority of the events you go to, there's so many clicks, involved. So even in the off hours, it's like, there's those people that you're just like, I love to talk to them, but they're kind of doing their thing. And here it was like you had opportunities to talk with everybody. I don't know if I laughed harder than hanging out with Killian Moon for an hour or two, that's hilarious.
Oh my God, I know.
And everybody's just so open, Gunner, to absolutely just open. I'm sure at most conventions, like Jake, like you're saying, it's hard to even talk to these guys. They're busy as shit. Mm-hmm. We had an opportunity to do this. So there is so much inclusion right now. There's a lot of diversity. Everybody was coming from different backgrounds and experience levels. It didn't matter if somebody was like an apprentice there to learn, or somebody had been in the game for 20 plus years. Everybody was on the same level, and I absolutely love that. Sick. Thank you again.
Yeah. Do you want to do you guys want to dive in a little bit, since we are kind of people probably know by now we're pitching the scholarship pretty hard, so maybe we could go into a few of the details with a few folks in mind, like people who think that they would want to apply for a scholarship, folks that would just like to donate to the general scholarship fund, which Coalition, Derek, is going to. Actually, I'm saying Coalition, but you're actually doing this through your through a different business, your newer startup. Do you want to talk a little bit about your coaching at all? Or?
Yeah, sure. I can split that. I am the founder of Coalition Tattoo Supply, that's run by a wonderful team of just like really just dedicated individuals. They've been with me, some been with me since the very beginning, and that's a great experience. And so that 50% of that's coming from Coalition of the 10,000. The other is a new startup company that a few of us are forming right now called Tattoo Career Builders. We're hoping for a July launch right now, and that's just like really helping and supporting individuals that are having a hard time with business. Maybe they're in a stuck situation with their business, and I know how hard it is to be a creative and run your own company at the same time is really difficult. So we're just kind of help bridging that gap between the two. So we're going to be doing that as well. But so I mean, that's why Paris Tattoo Gathering I think is so dear to my heart, because it's not just about just art and stuff like that too. There are a lot of business and finance talks and other things too, so you can get just a whole holistic picture of what tattooing is all about just going there. So yeah. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
I think I did.
Yeah. I just wanted to give you a chance to talk about Tattoo Career Builders, because we've talked about it. You're pretty involved in the Inside Fireside Tattoo Club, and we talk about it a decent amount on our Mindset Monday nights, which is tonight, by the way. And so I wanted to make sure that we got that in. But back to the actual scholarship and how it will work. You can donate any dollar amount to the general scholarship fund that will be matched up to $10,000 between Coalition and Tattoo Career Builders. Or you can nominate an artist to receive a scholarship or to be considered for a scholarship. So whether that's an apprentice in your own shop or Amy, I know you've been talking about someone that is actually like a 20+ year veteran, like an old school tattooer. They're like, they would be perfect for this scholarship, because it's not just necessarily apprentices or new tattooers. It's people who just don't have the means or the opportunity necessarily to get there. So to kind of to reiterate real quick, you can donate, you can apply for yourself, or you can nominate another artist. And we'll link to all that. It's all on one form, so it's real easy. You go to one place and decide any number of those things that you want to do. And do we want to go in a little bit to how what the considerations are? I mean, there's a handful of fairly clear questions on the form, but like who? So Derek, you're putting money in. Amy, you're there educating. I'll be there educating. Like, who is the ideal? Who do we want to see there getting the scholarship money? Like, what is that? What's the avatar of those artists look like?
Well, the person that I had, passionate. Passionate is definitely it. I had approached the guy that I had thought about before, and he actually he said, thank you, but no, he's like, I feel like it should go to somebody else that really can't afford it. So he disqualified himself, even though I personally, I feel like that's unfair, because I feel like, I don't want to negate his own feelings, but for anybody out there who maybe could afford it, but is hungry for that next step within your tattoo life, and is really feeling like you don't know what's next within your tattoo career, you feel like it has plateaued and it's just a job for you at this point. I feel like Paradise can give you new wings for this, and it can connect you with people that can reinvigorate your business model, your talent. It just scales everything, because the dynamics that are talked about within this space, the seminars it's just multifunctional. There's business seminars, there's art seminars, there's photography seminars, there's seminars on skin, the tonalities of skin. There's so many different types of focuses that if you wanted to scale what you think which you should never, I think, as a person who is pursuing a career in anything that's creative, should never, I was always taught by my mentor, once you think you know everything, you're done. You're ready to die. Like, it's over. You better get ready because you're going to be taken out. So I feel like if you're a person who just feels a general stagnation, you put yourself into it and see, because this, no matter who I've brought to this event, has been ignited, including, like I said, my non-tattoo artist boyfriend. He gets so excited just going every year. He's like, he looks forward to it. It's kind of like our couple's vacation, even though it's completely a work event for me. So
Right.
that's what I have to offer for this at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it can, what Derek said, passion. And of course, I met somebody online through Reinventing the Tattoo, and he comes from a state who they don't have many tattoo shops, and so there wasn't very many people that could actually mentor him. And he drove I think 14 hours across. He's in Kentucky, and he drove all the way there, didn't sleep, and he was just so amazed. And he came up to me. He was able to meet me in person. That kicked him off to meet Tara. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on her last name. She does really cool new school.
Yeah, I know. Tara, I can't think of her last name either, but she's awesome.
But she's awesome. He learned her application of Prismacolors, and then he got Jesse Smith took Christian Perez's painting class, and he couldn't travel with his fresh oil painting, so he just gave it away to this budding artist who has a Jesse Smith seminar practice. I mean, it's such a collector's item.
Right.
And that's the kind of stuff that you'll witness at Paradise is those kind of things. And for him, it just scaled him so much and gave him so many ideas about what he could do with his career and what possibilities there were out there for him, that it really made the world a lot bigger than Kentucky.
Yeah.
I think we lost Derek for a second.
Yeah, he's had a little bit of connectivity issues, but yeah, I mean, I would say that the type of person, as a co-promoter of Paradise now, which I'm excited to be. I never would have guessed I'd have the chance to do that in 2011 or whenever it was. So that's really exciting. But I think about all of the great tattooers today who went to Paradise as unknowns. And yes. I would love to be a part of, if, I'm visualizing Paradise 10 or 20 years from now, and I would love for the name to just continue to get, the brand itself, I guess, to continue to get stronger. So I want to be a part of the development of the most promising young talent or inexperienced folks that are out there, So like you said, passion, folks who are just curious, like you said, that don't think they know everything or don't think they know much of anything, and definitely folks that are talented. I love to get folks who can draw and are trying to solve problems and trying to push the envelope. And while I want to help everyone, I really would love to focus on helping the people that I believe will be the next generation of great tattooers, in 8 or 10 years from now. And it's amazing how fast that happens. My channel is 11 years old now, and I run into tattooers who are so much better than me at shows that tell me that they had a terrible apprenticeship and learned to tattoo watching Fireside YouTubes. And they're incredible, It's just that good, that fast. You're like, well, it's not that fast. It's been 9 years or whatever, how long they've been tattooing. You're like, yeah, that's it. Yeah. Time goes by really quickly, So Absolutely. The first round of scholarship people are going to be awesome tattooers when we, blink your eyes. So.
Well, and as far as nominating people, so say you're a mentor and that what you're able to offer your apprentice is very limited. And you want to diversify this. I know when I was learning to cut hair, my father used to send me off to seminars in other spaces of the country to go to the Aquage Academy and different hair academies, so that then I would come back with knowledge and then infuse the whole studio. So what you could look at this is kind of sending a, an ambassador for your shop. and like, you know, you're set to go. And it could be like even one of your most, it could be something that you nominate them because they're showing excellence in the studio. Somebody that is just hustling it, man, and you're like, oh, okay, well, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna nominate you for this, and then you go, and then you can bring back all this awesome stuff to the studio and share it with all of us. And then you're cultivating in your studio not only you know, somebody who can look to become a mentor eventually, because with that kind of, you know, exchange of information, you're having them go and absorb from a student level, but then they come back and then they have to actually recite it. So then it's about what they've actually retained. And if you give it that kind of mission too, it might really scale the kind of level of artists that you have in your studio as well.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah. So there's many different ways that this could be applicable to people, but I think it's an amazing venture. But if nothing else, then I can espouse that the Paradise Tattoo Gathering events have just every single year, no matter where they're held, have been incredible, incredible. It's so worth, even if you don't win the scholarship, doing exactly what we're talking about here, even if you had to pay for it in spades. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. There's no chance that it's not an investment in yourself, even if you don't end up getting a scholarship. As far as the scholarship goes, back to a little bit of the detail of it, we won't know exactly how it's split until we know how many scholarship dollars there are, you know, because we're trying to do this in tiers. So we would like for a couple of people to get full rides, including flight, transportation from the airport to the resort, which is no small. That's like a 45-minute drive. It's a $100 Uber ride. So the flight, the transportation to the hotel, room and board, the 4-day pass, and some level of individual seminars. We're going to build sort of an apprenticeship package of seminars that would help a young artist up and comer. And of course, that would be the highest level as an all expenses paid. And if we could do 1 or 2 of those, that'd be fantastic. If for some reason we don't end up, which I believe we will, if for some reason we don't end up with enough to do that, we would rather spread the wealth and do a lot of partial scholarships. So we'll do some level of just 4-day passes and you have to get yourself there, or just 4-day passes and hotel, things like that. So we'll start to divvy that up as we see how many applicants we have and how many dollars we have to disperse, between those two things. But and then, and so for everyone watching, the earlier that you kind of donate to it and nominate nominate artists or nominate yourself, apply for yourself, the earlier we'll get a clear picture of what we're able to do with it. So.
Oh yeah. What I would love to share on my podcast, I mean, I don't have nearly the following as Fireside, but at least, connecting people with how they can donate, where they can apply, just if you're a person who has a passion for education, which I would assume that if you're listening to either of our shows, you would. Right. And hopefully you understand the reciprocity of that if you've had incredible mentorship in your life, that is a gift that I don't think that, I think it's important to know that not many people have. Like you said, I'm kind of overwhelmed by the fact that I went to Paradise when you couldn't even, and I think you're a better tattoo artist than me. So I'm wow, I've been exposed to all this. Yeah. You haven't, No, and that's the thing is I've met tattoo artists that are senior to me that have never met Guy Atchison. I've never been involved in these events. They're blown away when I talk about them all the time. And it just, it's crazy to me that I have been exposed to all these things. So that's what the passion is that brings me to sharing information and wanting to educate people within this industry, is because I know that I've been gifted with such incredible insight into this industry, and honestly with no desire to. I went into tattooing because I wanted to do my art for a living. That was it. I really didn't care about tattooing at all, if I'm being for real. So the idea of a tattoo nerd or anything like that was foreign to me. So I can't even say that's how you want to go about it. But No, but I will say it does kind of help you approach people if you don't have this like, oh, that's Andy Chambers.
Yeah, right.
My boyfriend was talking with Andy Chambers about how to pick up women in Home Depot or something like that. So like, like if you go into it, I think with a genuine want to just learn and be open, I think that's really phenomenal.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I can't say enough good things about the show. It's incredible.
Same here. I mean, we're both lucky to be a part of it, or to have found it and actually made the effort to be a part of it, because so many people, like I did originally, would hear of things like that, hear about events like Paradise, and just go like, not that there aren't many events like Paradise, but things that are outside of regular tattoo shows, where you go to a tattoo show to get a little exposure and hopefully make some money, cover your expenses at the very least. And you come to Paradise not for that reason at all. It's you'll be paid back, in spades. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Well, I will say,
for
showing up.
For you personally, Jake, I think that your seminars, at least that I've experienced already, are incredible for the new person. Yeah, because it's a really great seminar. The one that I experienced was Finding Your Style. The one that you're going to have is basically about simplicity and keeping it simple. But, I think great teachers are people who can take very complex things and cut it down to the most essential things. And that's what a lot of people, when they're first starting out in anything, is that they end up getting paralysis, especially nowadays where there's so much information. And that's the beautiful thing about going to a mountainside and being with only a certain amount of people. It's not a huge convention or a huge place. There's only so much to digest, and it's organized in such a way that you're only digesting so many things at a time. But within each seminar, and especially yours, which, that is a huge question that comes up with a lot of people is, what should my style be, or what should, the things that you teach or the way that you teach it, I think it's such a great thought space because it's moving usually as you teach things, and it's very interactive. And, I found it very, very cool. And I was wow, that's such, and you bring it back to classical art fundamentals too. So it gets people excited about looking into things that they might not have actually been exposed to either. Artists and painting styles and all of that. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I really appreciate that. Yeah, that is one of the great things there is you do get to, there are a lot of seminars, and mine are included. Mine are not paid seminars. So if you have the 4-day pass, I do mine on the main stage for no extra charge. So if you're coming, you can watch those. And you did the same. Did you do a paid as well, or you just
it was
did
a mini one. Mine was with something that is lesser thought about in the tattoo industry, and I haven't solidified it yet this year. It's already formulated, so I could very well just do it again. But I did mine on the consultation process, and that was what I charged for. And it was a very low fee, just simply because I was amazed. I was amazed at how many people were interested in it. And including Derek. Derek was a part of that. And, and so was Chris Lowe, which was incredible. And, the things that came out in that space, which we kept it very intimate. And it was something where, as a presenter, people could ask me questions in real time that made it very easy. And I think that is a lot more congruent with how our consultation processes actually work with clients too. And if you can do that kind of in-person kind of run through with a presenter, and we kind of, go through that, it makes it a lot easier when you actually have to sit in front of a client. We can kind of trial different ideas and explore them in those spaces. So, but I taught that because for me, that has made all the difference in my client relations and my ability to actually tattoo successfully with people. And I think it's very under observed in our world, because everybody always focuses on the art, which of course of course, but
Yeah.
the people relations of it is I mean, honestly, it's where I shine. Because I grew up in the hair industry and the service industry, and my business, first and foremost, was the people business, and connecting with people, imbuing their trust, knowing how to do that. And I think that when it comes to, any industry where you have to have a very deep, intimate back and forth about cultivating a vision for somebody, especially with tattooing, it's their personal brand. Very much so. That has to be something where you're very centered around getting their trust and earning that. And that front end work is the most important. But yeah, that's what I did. And then I did one that was just about seeking an apprenticeship. That was my freebie.
Yep, I saw that one. That was great. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good.
That's I'm with you on that. I developed a bedside manner long before I developed a skill set as a tattooer, and that's what allowed me to develop a skill set as a tattooer. As far as gaining trust, keeping people comfortable, being honest with people, letting them know where my skill set was, and still having them let me tattoo them, and and I think that's what for when people are struggling a lot of times with whether it's developing a style or keeping clients in chairs or whatever. The bedside manner or the consultation process, the relationship development, it solves all of those problems, because once you find people that want to be tattooed by you and continually want to be tattooed by you and trust what you do, you've got a client for the chair, and you've got the freedom to explore your style more and more the more comfortable that they get, with you and you get with them. And so it's really kind of the thing that brings it all together is that consultation process that turns into the kind of bedside manner and the client relationship. So we dive into that a decent amount inside Fireside Club, and our Mindset Mondays focus on that a lot, because particularly here lately, this past winter seemed like one where a lot of folks in our club had a lot of free time, like a lot of cancellations, a lot of, maybe not no shows, I don't know, but like not kind of slim on bookings. And when people start operating in that fear mode, you end up shooting yourself in the foot a lot of times, and doing more harm than good to your client relationships when you go into panic mode because there aren't people in the chairs. But different discussion. But yeah,
totally.
Yeah, but it's exciting. I'm excited to be a part of this again. I'm really excited for this to be a part of the first scholarship fund for Paradise, and I hope it's something that other educational events, especially some of the higher end ones, start to implement. I got to know the folks, Jake and Jess, that run the Explorer
nice.
Conference, and that's and they're just fantastic people. And I had never really met them before, but they put on apparently a really great event. I never attended an Explorer, and they've held them off for now. They stopped them obviously during COVID and haven't picked them back up, but that was a high dollar ticket. That's a $900 or $1,000 ticket that is well worth it. But a lot of people, would take them months and months to pay off $1,000 ticket for a tattoo conference where there's no tattooing. And so, events like that, I'm not calling them out specifically, but that's the first thing that popped in my head is, if this works, it might be a great model, or when this works, it might be a great model for some of the others to grab onto. So,
and I hope too that, I think the thing that attracts people to tattooing nowadays is the reconnection with community and yourself and all of that. And I think a lot of the media around tattooing has been a lot of this rock star kind of thing, and formulating, personalities within the tattoo world. You have Ink Master and things like that are competitive shows. And I feel like when you go to tattoo conventions, for the most part, that's what it's centered around as well, is more of a competitive vibe, and they don't leave a lot of room for you, just like the shows, to network and actually meet people and find out the personality. Is all centered around just the artwork. My hope is that the people who are passionate about scaling education will come together universally, and maybe this will be something that just becomes its own thing. Either tattoo schools donate to it, Explorer Conference people donate to it, and it's just a thing that overall is like a scholarship fund that is, because there's really not a competition between artists. Typically, we're unique in ourselves, and the people who come to us are drawn to us because there's something not only about the artwork but about who we are as people and the comfort that they find there. So there's, you rarely can find that in another person. That's a very intimate connection, and I feel like within that's the thing that people really love about community and all of that, is that, like, education is about making sure that we all rise together. And I hope that can be the vision for everybody, is that we kind of put down the whole, like, how much money can we make? And I know that's hard. At the end of the day, we have bills to pay, and you have to do that. But I was always taught that you give 10% at bare minimum back to whatever it is that you're passionate about. I mean, if it's a tithing at church, or it's you give 10% back bare minimum. And if you look at the amount of money that you bring in on a regular basis, I think that it should kind of wash over to you as a professional. Where am I giving back to this? Is this only about scaling myself? What am I doing for my industry, my legacy, everything, if I'm not going to give back to the future generation of this in an integral way and in a way that I feel good about?
Yeah.
I hope that happens.
Hey, thanks again for watching. I hope you got something from that. Again, the links to all of the scholarship options are below on this page. If you're watching this on YouTube, they'll be in the description. If you're watching this on our website, firesidetattoo.com, they're on the deep dive page that you are looking at right now, just below. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to info@firesidetattoo.com, and we'll do our best to get back with you as quickly as possible. One final thing I wanted to pitch, if you are a tattooer who's looking for a community of tattooers who are growing together, trying to get stronger, trying to grow their skill sets, looking for support, things like that, please check out the Inside Fireside Tattoo Club. We have a great group of artists. We do a lot of fun things in there every single week. It's incredibly affordable. And I'll make sure to link to that as well. We'd love to have you as part of the club. We're trying to grow it with like-minded artists where we all can get a little better together. Thank you, as always, for supporting the Fireside Tattoo Network. We'll catch you in the next one.